All right. Hey, everybody. It is Chris Duncan again with yet another edition of the Daily Duncan. And very honored today to have a pillar of the San Clemente community, Robert Burns, here with me today talking about some community issues. Man, and you're all dressed up, Bob. I have my Hawaiian shirt on today. We are in San Clemente, right? And it's been nice. I do have the puffy hair going, the Corona hair for me, which is like it's coming out on the sides, mad scientist style. So that's how you know how deep we're into this.
Well, my Corona style is the barbers aren't open, so I'm shaving fully here, and I grew up my beard for the first time in my life. So this is Corona.
That's it. Right? New things during this pandemic, right? It's a chance to try new things and kind of let it all hang out. Why not? I have to tell you, I'm getting a little nostalgic actually as we see things start to open up. We'll talk a little bit about that in San Clemente in particular, but there are some really nice things about this, right? I think the chance to spend time with family, the chance to kind of have a little time to think about things, do some projects around the house maybe that you weren't thinking of. I don't know if you're feeling that same way.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. It's nice not to be overscheduled. I'm a person who tends to be overscheduled, and so it's kind of bizarre for me to be underscheduled. But I've been gardening. I have a 40 tomato plants, 300 onion. I've been doing so. My garden is doing great. But what's interesting is last Saturday, my son and I taught my daughter and my niece how to play hearts, and so for over 2 hours,
There you
we
go.
played hearts, a traditional card game, and we had a blast. So it's interesting. The simplicity is kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's turning a tough time into something positive that way too, right? And that's something you probably
Right.
wouldn't have done otherwise. So, yeah, good to hear. I think others are experiencing that same thing. All
Yeah.
right, here, let me introduce you formally so everybody knows who you are. Uh, Robert Burns, I call him Bob, has been in San Clemente for 25 years. You're dating yourself.
30,
Thir-
30,
oh,
30 years. Yeah.
Oh, 30. Wow. Okay. Well, you're even more dating yourself. And so really a pillar of the community, somebody who a lot of folks know and respect. I know I do. Um, and in addition to being a financial advisor, Bob has been a key member of the San Clemente Rotary Club. I know that because someone spoke over at the group over there. Great group.
Right.
For, again, dating yourself since I have since 1991. Now, maybe you're going to say it was the 80s.
No, it was 1991. That's
Okay.
right. When I moved to San Clemente, first thing I did. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, also, so that just shows your commitment to the community, and those are kind of some of the things we'll talk about a little bit. Now, in addition to that, Bob is a noted actor, comedian, not afraid to get up in front of people and kind of go for it. I know I saw one of his presentations in the area in San Juan Capistrano not too long ago, and really talented. And so that's something we can talk about too. Now, all right, so let me turn it over to you, Bob. What do you want to get started? What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? It's the pandemic. I think is at center of where I'm thinking about how to stay safe. Do you err on the side of being conservative? Do you want to open up the community? I think that there's a balance to be had. To be quite frank, I'm a little disappointed in our community about how a lot of people have reacted. I'm not of that part where I'm happy at how Nomads
Which is a
opened
restaurant,
up
right? Which is a
and
local restaurant, yeah.
yeah, local restaurant. How they opened, but it's the way they did it was the owner actually saying, "Hey, if you have a mask, don't bother showing up." And I felt bad also because the employees, they had all these people coming in, and yet the employees weren't safeguarding. None of them were wearing gloves or masks, and they would have felt foolish if they did. So
Right.
I feel it's not I don't think we put ourselves in the best light. I'm also disappointed in 2 weeks ago, I went to the farmer's market on Sunday, which I love, right? And they controlled how people left and came in. And this last week, they had no controls. None of the employees, even the ones that worked there, because you could see the emblem, none of them had masks. They were letting everybody in. there were a lot of groups that weren't safe distancing, and there was even one group, two people, a couple, that one woman in front of us said something like, "Excuse me, but I'm social distancing," and they rolled their eyes like they were the idiots. And I said, "Wow, that's not what this should be about," you know. So
Right.
I was a little disappointed on that. I'm erring on the side of caution.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because again, I mean, I think the focus that I wanted to talk to you about is the community. You've been in the community for a long time. You understand the community of San Clemente and South Orange County in general, but mostly San Clemente. And it's interesting. I mean, we've talked about this before. For folks who don't know, you're Republican, and and that there's a lot of folks who are Republicans and conservative in the area, and that I don't think should separate us, though, right? That shouldn't be something that comes to mind in a thing like the pandemic. We should be unified, right?
Right, yeah, and I'm also, I call myself a progressive Republican. I think, in fact, I'm thinking of writing this progressive Republican agenda, where I don't think they're mutually exclusive. That people pigeonhole you based on your party affiliation, and I just don't think that. I would like to see our community really work to be the example of coming together on how I do not have to make somebody wrong because they're different than me. My wife is Democrat, my kids are Democrat, and I look at myself as a Republican, and I don't think that should be issues to tear us apart. We, as one community, we can enjoy our differences and agree, but do so in a very respectful way. I don't have to. I know you ran as a Democrat, but I don't need to tear you down as a person. I may have disagreements with you, but you're a great guy, right?
Right.
Why
Thank
can't
you.
we be like that? Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. My focus of my campaign, of course, before was looking past partisan labels and trying to find the areas that we come together on things. And
Yeah,
I think,
once you get partisan like that, once you get extreme and blame and start calling name, is then you're not going to be able to even come together to see where we have much more in common
right,
than we have apart. We can agree on certain issues. So let's look at how do we bring those areas that we can agree on and make it work. Understanding we're never going to get 100% of what we want. That's not what politics or anything is about. In my business life,
right.
my marriage and my family, I never get 100% of what I like. But we come together and we compromise,
I agree.
and out of that, something good comes of it. But I don't need to tear people down. I don't like the divisiveness that's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to find that common ground. And then if we can find that place, we're all on the same team here, right? I think that's
Right.
how we view things, especially in the time of pandemic. If we can come together and agree on those areas, then we all have buy-in, right? And
Right.
then we don't have folks who are disenchanted afterward because they were part of the decision-making process. So let's get into an area of the community
Sure.
that isn't partisan or shouldn't be divisive, but it is important. The Rotary Club,
Right.
that your active membership there. Tell us what got you interested in the Rotary Club originally, and what type of activities the San Clemente Rotary Club engages in.
Well, what got me involved in Rotary is I moved down to San Clemente. I didn't know anybody. And so I had asked somebody, what is the best way to get connected with the community, look for community? And somebody said, join Rotary. So after being in Rotary, I actually was in the community for a couple of years before, and I moved to a new company and I said, I need to get involved. That's when I sought out Rotary, became a member. I wanted to be able to give back to the community. I feel that an obligation to learn what's being done in the community and give back to the community. And that has gotten, the older I've gotten and the more established, I think I've become more convicted that it's an important thing, especially when the community has given back to me and my family so much. And we're so fortunate that I feel an obligation to give back. And you give your time, talent, and money. So there's three things. In fact, I don't want to say old Rotarian, but a former Rotarian, Julie DiGiovanni, a pillar of the community who's been around forever. She became a Rotarian after her husband passed away. And as she got older, in her late 80s, she said, look, you have three things: time, talent, or money. Give two out of the three. And I've always held that to close to the vest, saying, yeah, I want to be able to give that. And so I saw the character of the people. Again, Rotary is a good microcosm of our community. I don't get along with everybody. Not everybody's my best friend, but we can come together under the banner of what can we do to make the community, the country, and the global community a better place. So we give in those three areas. We give in scholarships, and we've given hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've been head of the scholarship committee for a long time. My son is now in charge of the scholarship committee.
Right.
And we're very proud of not just giving to the scholars, but giving to a lot of first-time college attendees, a lot of the Hispanic community. A lot of these people, this is the first time anybody in their family has gotten to college. We've given money to them. We've given money to situations where the families just are, there's a lot of bad problems going on where there's death in the family or something. And we've been able to financially support them. In the community, we give to the Boys and Girls Club, Family Assistance Ministry. We look for those opportunities to give back. We recently, Rotary in general, made a lot of the visor masks for healthcare workers. And then the Globe, we support, I've been down to Guatemala for Operation Rainbow. I actually scrubbed in some surgeries for that, which was very fascinating. We donate money to a clinic in Guatemala. Polio, Bill Gates, you'll hear Bill Gates talk about, we've almost eradicated polio. Bill Gates has been a big supporter of Rotary in that initiative to do that. So it's been a great place to give back to the community, and we want to welcome, if you're looking for a place to give back to the community, you want to get placed in, just look us up. We'd love to have you come in as a Zoom guest, or when we get back to normal, come as a guest like you did. You were a guest.
Yeah, I agree. It was great, a great group over there. Really enjoyed the time I went over there. And, you know, I'm a big believer that you get way more back when you give, right? And I think that sort of underlies those three areas of giving you were talking. Is that what you found too? Is that actually you really sort of benefit even more than the folks that you're giving to?
Yeah, and I also want to I want to teach my kids that they're not the center of the universe, and that we are part of a community. And I've met such great people. Our oldest member is 102, almost 103. Bob Hayden's been a member since in the 40s. He's been around a long time. And he's still completely engaged, completely generous with his time and talent. And it shows. And then also the four-way test is a good way of being. It's the things we say and do and how we conduct ourselves. Is the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And will it build goodwill? If you go into any kind of room or any situation with that on your mind, on how can I contribute versus how can I take, it's going to be a good situation. So that's what I've learned through Rotary.
Great. Yeah, I know. I agree. I think you attract great things when you come in with that perspective.
Right.
So let's switch gears slightly to another area of community importance. I think an area that I think is really important to pulling us together, areas that we can rally around, and that's the arts.
Right.
And, you know, some people, I guess, maybe who don't know you that well might be surprised that you're, you know, kind of financial advisor by day and like comedian actor by night. I know it seems like it's something that you've been enjoying for a long time. You certainly have talent for it. Tell us how you got into acting and comedy and what type of activities you're involved in even now during the pandemic.
Yeah, it's interesting. In my early 20s, I got introduced when I was at Cal State Long Beach. I had the nerve to one day decide I wanted to take a tap dance class. Guys in my high school, we didn't do theater. And so I decided to take a tap dance class, and some girls said, "Hey, I'm trying out for musical, and would you want to come with me?" And I had taken one tap dance class, and I got cast as a dancer. And I was bit. I mean, I had found at like 22 years old, 21, 22 years old, that that's something that I never found it in anything else, but that became such an important part of my life, and it has continued. And so fast forward, I tried to be an actor in the early 80s, find out that my talent was limited. I was no Tom Cruise. And so I wanted more out of life. And so I became a family man, moved to San Clemente, but I still always did something. I was in a singing group. And then when my kids got older, they they started going to the high school, and I started volunteering, much to their chagrin. So put it out there. They were not happy that I was very involved. I was a youth leader at church, but then I became I call it a coach at the high school. And for 17 years, I was part of the high school in the way I coached improv, and I coached rehearsals and did whatever needed to happen. I just think the arts is such an important thing. And unfortunately, I wish San Clemente someday will get a new theater. When I started 18 years ago, I said, hey, any moment now we will get a theater, but we still are performing in the cafetorium, but they do high quality work. And what I like about the San Clemente High School program is that every square peg is able to find a home, whether you're on the tech crew, whether you're on stage. It's been so the arts in general at San Clemente has been very accepting of, hey, if you're different, don't fit in. If questioning your sexuality, come to theater. We're gonna have you. So that's what I've done. And then lately, I do act in commercials. I have an agent up in LA, so I go out I do every 1 year, 2 years, something like that. And then I'm in an improv troupe in Irvine, which has been really fun.
And that's Improv City.
It's Improv City.
Yeah, I just like to touch on one point that you made about the high school. It's important to me. I have kids who, before I know it, right, will be in the high school. It happens so fast. They're in elementary school, not Vista Del Mar, but soon they'll be at San Clemente High School. And there was a bond measure, not to get too into that. We could talk a whole session about that, about the funding to build a new drama center or theater, and pool was another one.
Whatever, yeah.
And that measure was voted down. That bond was voted down. And bonds like that were voted down across the state. So it wasn't just our area that had that. But I think people do need to really think about that, right? I mean, when you are not voting for those kind of things, you are essentially limiting the ability of high schools to provide that extra experience, that extra, kind of team environment that may be the passion of certain students who don't play sports or do other things, right?
Yeah, and I understand where people are coming from. I consider myself a fiscal conservative, and I think that voting down a bond like this is a reaction to what they see in the bigger picture, maybe from the state or something like that. But unfortunately, I felt so bad because this was our one chance to really give direct money to San Clemente. So much of it was going to be all of it was going to San Clemente.
Yes.
And if you look at for example, in our house, we invest regularly in making sure our house looks nice. We've added on, we've redone the driveway, we've done the backyard, we've done the wrought iron fence. You have to reinvest. So why don't we think that we need to do that for our community infrastructure? And sometimes that's why we have to invest. It makes our whole community benefits from property taxes. And the first question everybody asks is, hey, how are the schools? Well, it's the face of the community a lot of times. And for us to want to invest in not only the schools for the community, but for our kids. Kids need a place. And we need to support all different kinds of kids, whether it's sports, arts, intellectual. The Educational Foundation, which again is a great nonprofit group in San Clemente that gives to AVID and to the IB program. It doesn't happen accidentally. We have to be intentional about where we do this. So I was kind of disappointed that we let our future generation down by not investing in that. So hopefully we'll have that chance again.
Great points. Yeah, and I hope so too. I mean, I generally lean toward fiscal conservatism too, and I get the immediate reaction. I'm not going to vote for another bond, but yeah, when you dig a little deeper, this one was very specifically tailored for San Clemente. The money was going to go very, very specifically for these purposes, and I hope we do get that chance again for folks to look at that. And even though we might be in a difficult financial time, I think a lot of times those are the times to kind of pull together and reinvest in these kind of things.
Right.
Hopefully that happens. All right, let's get back to something and round out our conversation with something that you touched on in the beginning, and that is kind of what's going on in San Clemente. We're We're starting to see the governor relax some of the guidelines and the orders for staying at home. Restaurants are talking about opening. More people are out. I think anybody would have noticed that.
Right.
But there is a little bit of an air of contention, I think, in San Clemente between folks who are really pushing for a very fast opening of everything and folks who want a more measured, opening that comports with more of what we're hearing from the scientists. Can you round out the conversation there? You talked about seeing a community that was a little bit divided.
Well, yeah. For me personally, I think everybody has to make their own personal decision on how you want to make yourself feel safe and your family safe. Everybody's circumstances is different. I have a mother-in-law who's in her upper 80s, so we're concerned about her. My dad has COPD, and he's in his upper 80s, so we want to make sure that they're safe.
Sure.
In the business here, we owe it to our clients to make sure that we're presenting ourselves in the most safe manner. So at the same time, I think that there is reasonable action. I agree with Fauci that we have to let the virus itself dictate to what level we can open up.
Right.
So when people say, "Oh, I don't want the government controlling me. I want my freedom," and the government controls us. We have read all the time. We have traffic lights and stop signs. We are asked to wear our safety belts, and we have occupancy limits, and we have building codes. So the government, we're used to having the government control us. This is just another area. And I feel it's like getting it wrong can be such a price to pay. So I think we have to do it in a measured way. And I think there is a way we can do it. Do I support the beaches opening up and having people surf or play tennis or play golf? I think all of that can be done in a safe way that makes people feel comfortable. And I think we just need to provide here are the parameters, like, are the employees going to wear masks and gloves, or how many people are going in? We do need to get back to some sense of normalcy. I think people miss that. But again, I think it's worthwhile to do it in a measured way and respect the science behind it. Again, I've heard somebody said to me recently, the government is using these Nazi-like tactics, and I was taken aback. I go, that's really disrespectful to the memory of what happened in World War II. I go, nobody's getting taken out and shot by this. We're just asking you to wear a mask at a farmer's market. I go, so again, when people use this hyperbole,
Yes.
I think it does a disservice to everybody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, we all want things to be reopened. We want beach access. We'd love our local businesses to be up and operational and not suffer anymore. But again, we have to pay attention to the folks who are have expertise in this. They're telling us if we move too quickly, we will face a backlash, and we will in some ways go back to where we started, and all of that progress that we've made. I think San Clemente has done a great job, right, of essentially, keeping our numbers low.
I think the result,
we followed the orders.
Yeah, the results are speaking for themselves. The numbers are really good. Can I also say, is like, I see that you put the logo up of Improv City. Is even that we've adjusted to that. We haven't done shows in 2 months, but we're trying to do what we can to normalize it. So we have shows on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday online. If you go on Facebook Live for Improv City from 7:30 to 8:45, we do 7:30 to 7:30 to 8:15ish. 45 minutes or so. We do a show Friday, Saturday night, and then Sunday from 7 to 7:45. It's a short form. It's a way to give back to the community, give some free entertainment to something. And again, it's improv is such a great thing for anybody to be a part of. It's unplanned. It's fun. You don't take yourself too seriously. Hopefully, I'd like to ask everybody to go check us out. But we look forward to getting back to normal too, but we're taking it slow because we don't want to risk our audience getting sick by coming back too soon. So in the meantime, we're adjusting, and I think that's everybody should be doing that.
Yeah. And again, we're all in this together. Let's avoid the name calling, the demonizing. and take a balanced approach when we face folks with a different opinion, and see if we can come together and find where we agree. And again, with the goal I think that we all have, which is to save lives.
I'm completely with you. And you and I, yeah, this is where we agree 100%.
That's it. Well, I hope more people take the balanced approach you have, Bob. I think it's just tremendous to have someone like you in the community who's devoted to giving back, who's interested in the arts, and is pushing those kind of programs. I'm involved in the Rotary, which is really supportive of local businesses, and it's an inspiration to me to see someone like you who's been in the community for a long time now. And
don't call me old. Any minute now, you're going to call me old. I know
I
it.
had to get it in. But one last jab, but really, I think one of the reasons I want to talk to you is about all that. So thank you again so much for coming, and thanks for your ideas on coming together and how we can do that. And we'll keep the conversation going in the future. And I'm sure I'll see you soon when we can talk in person other than over Zoom.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Chris. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Bob.